though his stomach often growled with a persistent, gnawing emptiness. His eyes sparkled with a light that hardship couldn't dim. His steps were heavy, his shoulders slumped not just from fatigue, but from defeat. He walked in empty-handed. The landlord, citing poor yields, had reduced the already paltry wages yet again. There would be even less food on their plates tomorrow. As Raghav sat down on the floor, the weight of the world pressing down on him, Mohan quietly approached. He placed a single thin roti on a plate before his father their entire dinner. Looking at his father's weary face, the boy spoke with a wisdom far beyond his years. "Baba," he said softly, his voice firm. "Don't worry. One day I will study. I will become someone, and I will earn for us. We won't have to worry like this ever again." These were not tears of weakness or despair. They were a complex mix of overwhelming pride in his son's spirit and a sharp, piercing pain for the reality they were forced to live. The days that followed were a relentless cycle of struggle. The line between survival and starvation grew thinner. Some days they managed to get by on rice borrowed from a slightly more fortunate neighbor, a debt that weighed heavily on Raghav's mind. On other days, their only sustenance was hope itself, a fragile, yet persistent belief that things would get better. Then winter arrived, bringing with it a biting cold that seeped through the cracks in their hut. The chill settled deep into Mohan's small body, and he fell ill with a fever that raged for days. Desperate, Raghav knew he had to do something. He made a heart-wrenching decision and sold his only go-to creature that was not just livestock, but a part of their family, a source of a little milk and a little comfort. With the money, he bought medicine from the town. That night, the hut felt colder and emptier without the goat bleating softly outside. But as Raghav sat beside his son, feeding him the medicine, he felt Mahan's breathing grow steady, the fever slowly receding. He stayed awake all night, watching over his son, his silent prayers joining the distant, rhythmic ringing of the village temple bell. Just when their world seemed shrouded in the darkest of clouds, a single ray of light appeared. A government teacher, a kind man with a mission, visited Sundarpur. His goal was to enroll every child in the new, free village school that had just opened. The teacher spoke with Raghav at length, patiently explaining that the school would provide everything: books, a uniform, and even a warm midday meal. Seeing this opportunity, this chance for a future he could never provide, Raghav tearfully agreed. For the first time, Mohan stepped into a classroom. The world of books and numbers opened up to him, and the sound of his laughter, once a rare and quiet thing, began to echo freely through the schoolyard. Years flew by. The small boy with hungry eyes transformed into a tall, confident young man. Mohan not only finished school but excelled, earning a scholarship to study agriculture at a university. And then he made a choice that surprised many. He chose to return. He came back to Sundarpur, the same village where he had known poverty and hunger. But he didn't return as a victim of his past. He returned as an agent of change. As the newly appointed agricultural officer, he walked the same dusty paths, but this time with a purpose. He brought with him knowledge of modern farming techniques, better seeds, and a deep understanding of the land and its people. He worked with the farmers, teaching them how to improve their yields and helping them secure fair prices for their produce, breaking the cycle of exploitation by landlords. Raghav, now old and bent with age, his hair as white as cotton, would often sit at the doorway of their small hut. He would watch his son, his Mawar, confidently striding through the fields, the very same fields where he himself had once toiled in silent desperation. He would see Mohan talking to the farmers, guiding them, his voice full of hope and authority. The village of Sundarpur was still a simple, modest place, but something fundamental had changed. Hope, once a fragile whisper, had found fertile soil and taken firm root. And in a small, humble hut near those fields, a father's silent sacrifice and a son's unwavering dream had blossomed, turning a story of hardship into a testament of a brighter future. Thank you so much for watching. This story reminds us that even in the toughest of times, love, sacrifice, and the dream of a better tomorrow can create miracles. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that inspires and uplifts.